What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. You know who it is by now.
Jimothy.
Now, ladies and gents, I thought I would bring another deck profile to you, and this is a deck that I've kind of been messing about with in terms of building in the wings for a while now, and it's took a while to get a hold of the cards, and once I did, some of the most expensive ones got a reprint, so rip my life. However, it is what it is. So starting us off, ladies and gents, we are looking at Darklord. Let's waste no more time and get straight into the profile. Now, typically with the previous Darklord list, you used to brick a lot, and the release of Rise of the Duelist kind of mitigated some of that because you've actually got a normal summon that can do stuff. So in this build, I've got 2 Capricious and 2 Indulged Darklord. Now, typically Capricious allows you to tribute summon on your opponent's turn for a fairy monster. And Indulged Darklord, when she's summoned, normal summoned, you can special summon a Darklord monster to your opponent's field and then add 1 to your hand. So it just kind of like furthers your play. Now, special summoning 1 to your opponent's field doesn't actually plus them in any way. And with some of the trap cards that you've got in here, you can kind of take back control of that monster, so to speak. So definitely helps out having a couple of normal summons. Next up, we are running 1 Darklord Ukobak, and for some non-Darklord starters, we're running triple Trickstar Nightshade. Now, I'll go through the reasoning behind this once I go through the starter combo section at the end of the video. However, Darklord Ukobak, he basically allows you to Foolish Burial a Darklord card, which can be important depending on your board state, but by himself he does very, very little, hence why I'm only playing him at 1. He's also a target for one of your Indulged Darklord to give to your opponent. So yeah, it is what it is. Next up, for some of the more well-known Darklords, we're running triple Ixchel. This is the card that actually broke my heart because obviously as I obtained the last secret rare copy, they actually got reprinted, but she's basically a trade-in for the Darklord archetype. Really, really powerful. Also, with some of the Darklord monsters, they get the ability to target a spell or trap or Darklord spell or trap in your graveyard, pay 1,000, activate its effect or apply that effect, and then shuffle that card back into the deck. So you get 2 uses out of your cards, and that's with a couple of the Darklord monsters, with Ixchel being one of them. So she gets you a draw 2, and she actually gets you to activate one of your Darklord spells or traps, which are very, very powerful, by the way. So triple Ixchel, you do want to see her because Darklords basically function out of the graveyard, ladies and gents. Next up, probably one of the other most fundamental ones, Darklord Superbia. Not a once per turn. Once it's special summoned from the graveyard, you can target another fairy type monster and special summon it. Notice how it says fairy type monster, ladies and gents. It does not say Darklord monster, so keep that in mind. Next, for some of the new support, we have Darklord Naston. Now, Naston is a free special summon from hand by discarding 2 other Darklord cards. Now, it can be quite expensive to do this, so you definitely have to bear in mind when you're going to do it. Also, he is 2600, so he's one of the smaller Darklord monsters in terms of attack and defense. And if you didn't pay attention, ladies and gents, these monsters are huge. You can OTK very, very easily with this deck, and you don't necessarily have to go into your extra deck, which is always a plus. So 2 Darklord Naston. He also allows you to target a spell or trap in the graveyard and apply its effect, which is really, really useful. So you don't have to pay cost if you actually activate the spell or trap via the monster effect. So really, really powerful. Next, we are running 1 Darklord Zerato. You can send a fairy type monster from your hand to board wipe your opponent's monsters. He does destroy himself in the end phase once you activate this effect, but he allows you to tribute summon himself for 1 dark monster if you have 4 or more dark monsters with different names in your graveyard. So there is a little bit of synergy there. It does require a bit of setup, but it's nice to have in a certain situation. So 1 Zerato. Next, we're running 1 Nurgle. This was out of Rise of the Duelist as well. Gives you a fairy type monster's piercing damage, and it can also apply spell or trap effects by targeting them and then shuffling them back into the deck. So 1 Nurgle. And also, we are running 1 Darklord Morningstar and 1 Archlord Christia. Now, Morningstar cannot be special summoned, ladies and gents. He must be tribute summoned. However, he has a crazy effect, especially compared with Indulged Darklord. Have I got that right? Is it no Capricious? especially with Capricious. So if you contribute, you summon him, you can special summon fairy monsters from your deck equal to the number of monsters your opponents control when he's tribute summoned. So that is really, really powerful. But the main reason you have him, ladies and gents, is to be able to go into some extra deck plays to special summon your monster. Archlord Christia is a bit of a blowout card. Again, you can target this card in your graveyard and special summon it off Superbia. You can special summon it off Monster Reborn. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So definitely a nice blowout. You can actually maximize this and play 3 Archlord Christias and go into basically an Archlord Christia turbo deck. But I've opted not to do that, ladies and gents. That's personal preference, basically. I want to play Darklord cards, not Christia. Next, onto the spells. Now, this is where the deck shines. You're running triple banishment of the Darklord. This is basically a rotor for the archetype. So you can get double usage out of this, especially if you've got something like Naston or Ixchel on field. You can shuffle it into the deck and apply its effect. So basically, you can add a couple of Darklord monsters if you manage to organize your field correctly. Definitely a 3 of. This deck is hella consistent, ladies and gents. It actually just draws and searches for days. Next up, triple Darklord contacts. You can special summon a Darklord monster from your graveyard in defense position. Typically, you are going to be special summoning Superbia to then special summon another monster. So yeah. Next, for a bit of a draw engine, or should I say a lot of a draw engine, along with Ixchel, you get some crazy draw. We're running triple Allure of Darkness. You all know what it does by now. We are also running double trading. Now, I've opted for double. You can max out on trading if you're playing a lot of the level 8s. As you can see, I haven't got as many targets as a normal or casual or regular Darklord deck profile as you would. So I've gone with double trading. It seems to be working out fine, to be honest. I have no real issues with it. And I've just realized that this one is actually a secret rare. Wow, okay. Anyway. Next up, for some interruptions, one of my favorite cards in the game, Forbidden Chalice, monster effect negation, quick play spell, can be used in the damage stage, so a lot going on for it. You can actually target one of your own monsters and give it a bit of a buff as well, which is something that I like to do in this deck because getting out damage is very easy, and if you just need to push for the OTK, then it helps. Also, we're running 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Valhalla Hall of the Fallen, and I should have a Foolish Burial, ladies and gents, but I do not know where I've put my copy of it. It's gone somewhere. I've got loads of cards just floating around all over the place, but definitely Foolish Burial, another card that you would use. Now, onto the traps. We are running 1 Darklord Enchantment, 1 Darklord Rebellion, 1 the Sanctified Darklord. So basically, this is a mind control Darklord Enchantment. Darklord Rebellion is a targeted pop, and the Sanctified Darklord, it allows you to target a effect monster your opponent controls, or non-target actually, and negate its effects. And all of these cards do not target, ladies and gents. So these are just inherent outs to Dragoons. And when you've got your monsters on field that can actually target these cards in graveyard and apply their effects, you get double usage out of them. So typically, I would like to set up with this either in the graveyard or either set on my field if I'm going first. Definitely powerful right there. We're also running 1 Darklord Uprising. This is basically the fusion spell of the deck. Again, you can apply its effect by targeting with some of the monsters in your grave, and it allows you to special summon the first Darklord, which is another fusion monster, which I'll go through very shortly. Next, we are running 1 Back to the Front, and this is the last card of the main deck, ladies and gents. It's just basically as simple as target a monster in my graveyard, special summon it in defense position. Typically, it's going to be Superbia to then continue with my plays, so 1 Back to the Front. I only played a few traps, ladies and gents. I do not want to brick on them, basically. After the extra deck, we are running the first Darklord. Now, I have seen a lot of people turbo out just being able to board wipe your opponent, and whilst it is a very, very powerful strategy, because once the first Darklord is summoned, if it's summoned using Morningstar, you get to board wipe your opponent. But what the powerful thing I think is more useful is the targeting protection that it provides, being able to not allow your opponent to target your fairy type monsters is really, really powerful. Also, you can special summon during the main phase as a quick effect one monster from your graveyard, one fairy type monster from your graveyard. So again, it could be Christia, it could be anything, ladies and gents. Very, very powerful, and you do typically want to get him out very quickly, just to be able to kind of control the board, and then obviously OTK on the following turn. As you can see, he's got 4,000 attack, so he is nothing to scoff at basically. Next, for the links, we are running double Condemned Darklord. She can actually add you a card by pitching one. She also gives you life points at the end phase depending on how many fairy type monsters you control, and it's really, really powerful. It's useful for the deck, and this is the card that pairs nicely with the Trickstar, which I'll show you in a moment. Next, we are running one Trickstar Bloom. She basically allows you to just go into your Condemned Darklord, one Herald of Mirage Light, Spell and Trap negation, one Nightmare Phoenix, one Nightmare Unicorn for the obvious powerful cards. You should be able to get a hold of these now, especially with Genesis Impact. Yeah. And finally, one Borrello Dragon and one Unchained Abomination for the links. Unchained Abomination is probably my favorite link monster, just without a shadow of a doubt. I loved Unchained as it is, and this card is, I just love it. You can actually swap this out or swap Borrello out for Appaloosa, but I've just decided to go aggro. I love this card, just popping things constantly is just fun. And then obviously Borrello Dragon either to out Dragoon, Mech Knight Crusader, Avramax, anything like that. So yeah, you do spit out quite a few monsters, ladies and gents. It's pretty easy to get them on field. Next, for a couple of rank 8s, because you can go into rank 8s quite easily, we're running one number 22 Zombie Stein and one Darklord, sorry, one Dinkyusu, the Orchest of the Evening Star, another out to Dragoon, another monster effect negation, so quite useful. And then finally, we are running one number 7 Draglubian, one Hope Harbinger, and one number 100 Numeron Dragon for an easy OTK. If you manage to get this guy out, then you can get this guy out, attaching this guy, detach this guy, and smack for 9,000, or yeah, 9,000. So really, really useful. I do really like this card, ladies and gents, and that is basically it, ladies and gents. So without wasting any more time, let's go through a couple of plays that you can do with this deck. Okay, ladies and gents, let's go on a typical first turn play. Now, with Darklords, there's no direct or linear way to play the deck. It's kind of reactive on the hand that you have and being able to get to your combo pieces, which involves a lot of drawing and a lot of searching. Draw the Lockbird actually shuts down this deck pretty easily, but nonetheless, I'm going to go through a play here. So I will normal summon my Trickstar Nightshade. Now I didn't go through this card, but basically what it does is if it is used for the link material for a Trickstar link monster, it can special summon itself back from the graveyard. So we'll normal summon our Trickstar Nightshade, link straight into our Trickstar Bloom, which then allows us to trigger our Nightshade to special summon it back to the field. Then we can link these two off with your Nightshade getting banished into a Condemned Darklord. Now this just allows you to pitch a card to the graveyard to search for a Darklord card or monster, sorry. So very useful. It also allows you to banish monsters for tribute summons for Darklord monsters, which is something you typically want to do if you want to get Morningstar on the field without burning resources on field. So you can do this to insulate your plays. It also allows you to get your plays going basically, and this is typically what I would like to do going first if I have a really, really terrible hand, but I do see a Trickstar Nightshade. You don't utilize your extra deck as much as you would think, but this is just a nice little play to go to be able to get you a search up to be able to pop off with your plays. So typically that's what you want to go through going first. Okay, ladies and gents, now going second, it is like what I mentioned previously, a little bit difficult to suggest any kind of linear plays with Darklords. Basically, you want to get a couple of spells in your hands, most notably Banishment of the Darklords and Darklord Contact, to be able to start off your plays. So this is somewhat a typical hand that you could potentially end on. So I'm just going to go through what I would do if I had said cards, or I managed to amalgamate said cards in any combination of plays. So the first thing that I would do is I would activate Ixchel to discard and draw 2 blank cards. Next, I would activate Darklord Contact to special summon a Darklord monster from grave, which in this case, it's going to be our Superbia. So Superbia is going to hit the field. Then it's going to activate its ability to special summon my Darklord Itcher. Then I am going to activate my banishment of the Darklord, which will allow me to get a search for a Darklord card. And in this instance, I'm definitely going to search for my Morningstar. So Morningstar is now in the hand, ladies and gents. Next up, I'm going to activate Ixchel's effect to shuffle my banishment of the Darklords back into deck to be able to get a search off for another card. And in this instance, I'm going to add my Darklord Uprising. Obviously, I need to pay 1,000 and whatnot. Next, I'm going to link these two off. So those are going to hit the graveyard into my condemned Darklord. So let me just put this here just so you guys can see what's going on. So now with my condemned Darklord on field, I'm going to activate its ability to pitch a card from hand, and I'm going to pitch my Darklord Uprising, send that to the grave to add a card from deck to hand. Now this can typically be anything. For the sake of this video, ladies and gents, it's just going to be a monster typically, because you're going to want to activate your Darklord Uprising. So I'm going to add a monster to hand. So now this is my hand, ladies and gents. I've got 3 blank cards that don't really need anything. I'm going to normal summon my Capricious Darklord, and then I'm going to pass my turn to my opponent. So typically you're going to wait until your opponent actually has a couple of monsters on field, typically, because you need 3 monsters to be able to activate its effect. So as soon as they've got a couple of monsters on field, you can activate Capricious Darklord's effect and activate Condemned Darklords to be able to tribute summon your Darklord Morningstar. Now Morningstar will allow you to special summon monsters equal to the number of effect monsters your opponent controls. So you get like 1, 2 for example. So now you got 4 monsters on field. By banishing these 2 in the graveyard, your Darklord Superbia and your Ixchel. Now typically you're going to want to be able to add a monster that can utilize Darklord Uprising in your grave. So whether that be your Nastan, your Nurgle, another copy of your Ixchel for example, you can special summon those straight to the field. Then you're going to use one of your monster's effects to activate Darklord Uprising or apply its effect by targeting in the graveyard, special summoning it or shuffling it back into your deck, and then sending 1 card from your hand to the field, and then using 3 of your monsters including Morningstar to hit the grave to be able to special the first Darklord, and then that will give you a board wipe, ladies and gents. And then obviously you've got the first Darklord on field. Now he can then special summon one of your monsters back from the graveyard. Doesn't really matter which one it is. For example, just to say it's a Indulged Darklord. Yeah, so you can special summon that back from the graveyard, ladies and gents, and there's yourself. None of your monsters can be targeted. You've got a few materials to be able to go into some links on your following turn. Potentially, if you use the correct cards, you could go into a rank 8 play. And on top of that, you've got the first Darklord on field, and then your condemned Darklord, should she survive, should give you some life points during the end phase, ladies and gents. So that's typically what I would do going second, depending on the board state. So ladies and gents, we have arrived at the end of another video. Did you enjoy this? Were there any plays or misplays that I could have done better? If so, definitely get at me in that comment section below. And as always, if you do enjoy this content, you know what to do by now. Hit that like button, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and I would definitely see you guys on the next video. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.